When it comes to collecting Transformers, I absolutely love third-party Legend Scale figures. And out of all the Legend Scale companies we have available to us, I personally love Newage figures. In fact, one of my first Transformer videos on this channel is going to be my top 5 Newage figures. But because that video is pretty out of date and Newage has made so many more great figures, I wanted to make a new updated list. What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Speakerhead. Today we're going to be talking about the top 5 Newage figures you need to own 2.0. But before we get into this list, if you enjoy any of this sort of content and want to see more of it, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help me out. I'm personally trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by 2024, so if you want to help me reach that goal, make sure to subscribe. Also, friendly reminder that 1 like equals 1 pat for my little buddy Doug here. Say hi, Doug. Finally, I want to mention if you enjoy any of the music in this video or just want to support the channel in general, it's all part of my royalty-free music label, Speakerhead Studios. All the music on this label is completely royalty-free, so go ahead and use it for any of your content creating needs. But now that we got all that out of the way, let's talk about the top 5 Newage figures you need to own. So before we actually get into this list, I want to lay down a couple of ground rules. So the first rule is only one version of a mold can be on the list. So when I'm going over this list, I'm generally talking about the overall mold. So any repaints or remolds would be in that same category as that original mold. For example, if Starscream is somewhere on the list, then all the other Seeker molds would also be in that same spot. Now the other rule for this list is that it has to be a figure that I've personally handled. And the reason for this is that even though a figure might look great, unless I actually personally feel it and handle it, I can't tell you my honest opinions on it. And a few examples of molds that I don't personally own are going to be their Ironhide mold, their Grapple mold, or their Hound mold. So even though these figures might be really awesome, I haven't personally handled them, so I can't put them on the list. So now that we got all the rules out of the way, let's actually talk about my top 5 Newage figures. So even though this is a top 5 list, I'm also going to give 5 honorable mentions. These honorable mentions are all fantastic figures, but they all didn't quite make the list for one reason or another. I also want to mention that I'm going to be naming these figures in no specific order. And these honorable mentions from Newage are going to be Magnus, Devastator, Soundwave, Arcee, and Starscream. So like I said, I think all these figures are fantastic, but they just didn't quite make the list. So now that we got honorable mentions out of the way, let's actually talk about the top 5 Newage figures. So coming in at number 5, we have Newage Shockwave. So for those who saw my original top 5 Newage figure list, you guys know that I listed this guy as the number 1 Newage figure. And to this day, I still think he is one of the best Newage figures that's been released. I just think this mold is really awesome and still holds up the figures that we're getting today. And to this day, he still probably is my favorite figure to pull off the shelf and mess around with. And let's be honest, the display stand for alt mode is pretty freaking sweet. But even though I still absolutely love this figure, I think there are a few figures that are a bit better. Such as number 4, which is going to be Newage Cyclonus. So I picked this guy up at BotCon last year, and the second I pulled him out of the box, I was completely impressed. For starters, I think the overall mold is amazing and perfectly represents the character. On top of that, this guy has a beautiful pearlescent paint job, which Newage usually doesn't do for their figures. The pearlescent paint is usually reserved to the eyes, but Newage decided to use it all over this figure. And I gotta say, I'm so glad that they did, because it just makes this figure stand out that much more from the rest of your collection. The last thing I'll mention that I really like about this guy is that no matter what pose you put him in, it just looks really natural. There are very few Legend Scale figures that can pull this off, and this Newage Cyclonus is one of them. I'll also mention that I really love his alt mode too, it just looks fantastic. So with rank number 4 out of the way, let's talk about number 3, which is going to be Newage Optimus Prime. So in my previous top 5 Newage figure list, Optimus Prime was actually lower than Shockwave. But as I've owned it a bit longer and messed with it more, I've grown to really like it a lot. For starters, I absolutely love how posable this Optimus Prime is. This figure has really good articulation overall that can get into some fantastic poses. And then I personally overall love the sculpt of this figure. I know when this figure was originally released, there was a hot topic about the gap in his chest, but once I've owned the figure and had it for a while, it really doesn't bug me at all. I'll be honest, I don't even notice it when I'm messing with it these days. But besides that minor nitpick in the sculpt, I think this is an amazing looking Optimus Prime. And then I'll finally mention that I really do like the transformation for this Optimus Prime. Not to bring Magic Square into this list, but I personally really enjoy the transformation for the Newage Optimus Prime over the Magic Square Optimus Prime. Now, I'm not saying that the transformation for the Magic Square Optimus Prime is bad, but I do find the transformation of the Newage Optimus Prime a bit more enjoyable than the Magic Square one. But even though I think this Optimus Prime is amazing, I think Newage has released 2 figures that are still better than this. Which brings us to our number 2 spot, which is going to be Newage Jetfire. So when this figure was originally released, I remember everyone talking about how this was the best Newage figure ever released. And I gotta say, I can completely see why. For starters, the robot mode is absolutely fantastic. Maybe it's just me, but it feels like Newage gave this guy a bit more of a heroic sculpt compared to his cartoon counterpart. But either way, I think Newage just absolutely nailed the sculpt of Jetfire. Something else I really love about this figure is the overall build quality of it. So all Newage figures have a great build quality to them, but this Jetfire took it up a notch. Maybe it was just because it was a larger figure compared to what they normally work with, but this guy is built like a tank. I feel like I can mess with this figure for 10 plus years and I won't have any sort of issues with him. And then the final thing I'll mention that I really like about this guy is his overall articulation. This guy is extremely poseable and able to get into poses that many other figures wish they could get into. But of course, when everyone thought that this was the best Newage figure ever, they had to go and outdo themselves. And that brings us to our number 1 Newage figure, which is gonna be Newage Omega Supreme. Now, I'll be completely honest, this one figure is the reason why this list didn't come out any sooner. So I already knew this was probably going to be the best Newage figure ever released, but like I said, I actually had to have my hands on it in order to add it to the list. And I'm so glad to finally have this guy in my collection because he is incredible. So if you've seen my review on this figure, you know that there's so much to love about this figure. For starters, that has amazing articulation that honestly rivals some of the smaller figures they've released. And then on top of that, it has ratchet joints all over the figures that really help with that articulation. And the final thing I absolutely love about this figure is his overall sculpt. I absolutely loved how goofy and chunky Omega Supreme was in the cartoon, but somehow Newage made it cool. I really can't tell you what it is, but something about the overall sculpt of this figure just looks amazing and makes him look really heroic. And then of course, I think the thing that really puts it on top of the list is that the fact that the tank is able to actually roll on the treads in alt mode. I know everyone in the Legend Scale community was super excited once they heard that this feature was part of this figure. I personally haven't added batteries to my figure because I'm just really lazy. But with this amazing animation I made, you can see that it's really awesome how it's able to drive on the tracks all by itself. But after owning this Omega Supreme, it made me come to the realization of something. I realized that if Newage really wanted to, they have the capability of making masterpiece figures. And I really think if they tried making a masterpiece figure, a lot of people would really like it. But with that, guys, that's going to be my top 5 Newage figures you need to own. Let me know down in the comments which are some of your favorite Newage figures. But once again, if you enjoyed this content and want to see more of it, make sure to like and subscribe. It really does help me out. Finally, once again, if you enjoyed any of the music in this video or just want to support the channel in general, it's all part of my royalty-free music label, Speakerhead Studios, link in description. But that's going to be it for me, guys. I appreciate you checking out the video, and I'll catch all y'all in the next one. Peace!